Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Saturday, April 29th, the 2023 NFL Draft. It is in the books. Your Jacksonville Jaguars, their picks have all come and gone, all 13 of them. Right now, though, it's time to recap day 3 of the NFL Draft for your Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, it has been a marathon and a sprint here covering this 2023 NFL Draft for the Jaguars. Again, 13 total picks. I love the NFL Draft, but I am damn tired right now. Again, this is a Jacksonville Jaguars Day 3 recap. I don't have any fun graphics or anything like that for y'all. No clips, nothing like that. Just some honest analysis here on the picks, on each of the Jaguars picks on Day 3. It's just you, me, this bourbon, and football. And these draft picks, right? We're going to dive into it right now. We will have plenty more draft coverage for you going into more depth on these prospects. I'll do grades on the entire class. I'll have more high-level thoughts on this class as a whole, moving forward. But for tonight, for right now, I'm just going to dive into these prospects, these Day 3 picks. It was a wild, crazy, surprising day in a lot of ways for the Jaguars. They did not trade up once despite having 10 picks today. Never traded up. Absolutely wild. Trent Baalke said the Jaguars tried to move up today, contacting 15 or 16 different teams trying to move up throughout Day 3 of the NFL Draft. They also tried to move back into the end of round 3 last night. Weren't able to do it, according to Trent Baalke. I'm not sure about all that. You saw a lot of trades up and down the board. I think perhaps the Jaguars and whoever they were talking to just couldn't come to the right terms. But again, 10 picks on Day 3 of the draft for the Jaguars. They were looking for guys who could contribute on special teams. They talked about that a ton. Obviously on offense and defense as well on Day 3. But special teams, that emphasis was clear. The emphasis on character was also clear. That's been something that they've been talking about quite a lot. Thank you so much for being here, Duval, and for tuning into this draft coverage, for supporting this channel. I really appreciate all y'all's support. Get a little sip in here before we get going. All right, let's get after it, Duval. Jaguars, their first pick on Day 3 of the 2023 NFL Draft was at 121 overall. They took Florida linebacker Ventrell Miller, who... super tough kid, very smart, always making plays out on the field for Florida, excuse me. As a Gator fan, I don't know how I mixed that up. But again, very tired, not running on a whole lot of sleep, been covering the draft for 3 straight days here, and obviously a lot longer than that leading up to the draft. But again, Ventrell Miller, really tough against the run, really smart, instinctive football player, a little small and not a great athlete at the linebacker position. So for me, maybe a little bit early for Ventrell Miller to come off the board, but maybe some of that athleticism that you didn't see in 2022 could come back in the future, as he was playing with a broken foot, an injured foot, Jones fracture. Ventrell Miller played through the entire 2022 season with it, so maybe you see some athleticism as he gets even more healthy moving forward into the future here. Kind of reminds me of Shaquille Quarterman in terms of the intensity that he brings to the field, the playmaking he brings to the field against the run, his ability to fly around in pursuit. But again, maybe some more athleticism within Ventrell Miller here than what we've seen from him lately at the University of Florida. He is from Lakeland, so local kid pretty much, very close to Jacksonville. What will he be in 2023 for the Jaguars? At 121 overall, their first pick in the 4th round. To me, it looks like he's going to be linebacker 5, right? You've got Foye, Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma, Shaquille Quarterman, who we just mentioned. So it's going to be interesting. I think this was clearly a guy the Jaguars think can come in and be a culture fit, a character fit, locker room fit, and have special teams value. I think that's very clear. I had more of a late day 3 grade on Ventrell Miller. You do like all the intangibles. You do like the intensity on the field on defense. Just don't know if you're going to be able to use him in coverage, if you're going to feel comfortable using him on all 3 downs. So for me, I don't really understand the fit here when you talk about him probably being linebacker 5. Listen, again, I get the character. I get the special teams value, the potential athleticism that could return. But this is an interesting one for me. With all the depth that the Jaguars have at off-ball linebacker right now, this was definitely an interesting pick for me. With their first pick in the 4th round at 121 overall, Ventrell Miller out of the University of Florida. Jaguars next up, they were at 127 overall. They traded out. They acquired the 227th pick in the 7th round of the 2023 NFL Draft and a 2024 4th round pick. So good to get another 4th round pick in the future, obviously, but a 4th trade back for the Jaguars in this 2023 NFL Draft. Unbelievable. I mean, my goodness, I've never seen a team trade back so many times and then not be able to trade up at all with that draft capital that they acquire. Really bizarre stuff there, but good value overall on that specific trade, adding a 7th round pick and recouping a 2024 4th, which could end up being an earlier pick there than 127 overall, right? This was a late 4th round pick. The Jaguars traded with the Saints. That pick could end up being an earlier 4th round pick than what they traded away, and they got the 7th. So I think it was good from a value proposition there. Their next pick on day 2 at 130 overall, defensive lineman Tyler Lacey out of Oklahoma State, a prospect the Jaguars showed a lot of interest in during the pre-draft process. Lacey's one hell of a run defender, a guy who can create pocket push and penetration as an interior pass rusher, and clearly line up on the inside on clear pass rushing downs, but in base, probably more of a defensive end who can really just play the run for you, 1 gap, 2 gap, set the edge. I think Tyler Lacey makes a lot of sense in that regard. Now, the Jaguars, they do already have a lot of quality run defenders, but I think they see some untapped potential in Tyler Lacey as an interior penetrator, which I saw that on tape as well. 33.25-inch arms, 74th percentile athlete at the defensive tackle position. He's a little bit older at 23.5. Clearly a culture fit, as all these prospects are. Massive hands. Those help him control the point. He's a good hand fighter as well. Uses those hands to try to displace the opponent's hands. Has some moves on the interior to get into the backfield, has a nice little bag of tricks, oftentimes quicker and more explosive than interior offensive linemen, again, when it comes to pushing the pocket in clear pass rushing situations and knifing into the backfield. He has clear value, again, as a base down defensive end, as an interior pass rusher in clear pass rushing situations. Talked about it a lot in our prospect video for him because the Jaguars were showing interest. We did put out a prospect profile for him. I think you want to get him in here and have him learn from Roy Robertson Harris, and he talked about that today. Tyler Lacey did on his media call. Tyler Lacey said that he plans on getting in here. He compares himself to Roy Robertson Harris, and he's going to try to learn from him. He'll give you some special teams value as well. I had a 4th round grade on Tyler Lacey. The Jaguars got him in the late 4th, so good stuff for me from a value proposition. You can never have enough in the trenches, both on the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. Tyler Lacey certainly a worthy selection in the 4th round, in my opinion. Next up, another pick in the 130s. This time it's at the top of the 5th round at 136 overall. Yasir Abdullah out of Louisville. Really exciting pick for me is Yasir Abdullah. Played some off-ball linebacker earlier in his career, but mostly 3-4 outside linebacker in Louisville's new defense over the last couple seasons. Only 6 foot and 237 pounds. So really a small edge player, but super quick twitch, very fast, can make plays rushing the passer and in coverage. 36.5-inch vertical, shows the athleticism there, 10.09 broad as well. 4.57 40-yard dash, only 32.5-inch arms, so a little bit shorter arm length than what Trent Baalke is usually looking for. But this is an urgent player. He is 23 years old, so another prospect on the older side. But he was an elite pass rusher at Louisville over the last couple years. His pass rush win rate of 21.2 was pretty much better than every edge in this class outside of like Will Anderson, Nolan Smith, and Tyree Wilson. So really great production over the last couple years. Can play off ball in coverage and in pursuit. In my opinion, I don't know if the Jaguars are going to ask him to do that at all, but he does have the experience and versatility to do that. He has plenty of mass on his frame despite being only 237, about 240 pounds. At his height, plenty of mass, plenty of muscle, plays with strength and balance and coordination. Another high character guy, versatile athlete who can play special teams. Jaguars, again, that's not going away on day 3, the guys that can play special teams. But for me, he is a perfect sub-package rotational 3-4 outside linebacker and a changeup, which Trent Baalke mentioned. They were looking for a changeup a little bit in this draft. They have Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, who are both so big. They were looking for somebody who could maybe come in, be a little bit smaller, give those big offensive tackle fits with their lack of height, with their lack of a strike zone on their chest because they're so much smaller and further away from these offensive tackles. I think that's exactly what they landed in Yasir Abdullah. I had an early 4 on him. So again, good value on my end for Yasir Abdullah, coming out of Louisville. And someone in his corner is Elvis Dumervil. He's leaned on Elvis Dumervil some. Another really talented former edge rusher. Played in Denver, Baltimore, and had a tremendous career as a pass rusher in the NFL. So Yasir Abdullah, definitely a quality pick at the top of the 5th round, getting a guy with that type of talent and versatility. Next up might be one of the steals of the draft, to be completely honest with you. At 160 overall in the 5th round, the Jaguars were able to select safety Antonio Johnson out of Texas A&M. What a spot for him. This is a young prospect at 21 years old. He's 6'2", 198 pounds with long arms, 4.52 40-yard dash, former 4-star recruit. Aligned primarily at nickel for Texas A&M in their defense, but that's a little bit of a misnomer, a little bit misleading to be quite honest. He wasn't going one-on-one with these quick slot receivers that have incredible route running versatility. He was more of an underneath defender. They weren't playing straight up man-to-man coverage with him in nickel very often. So again, wasn't really responsible for sticking with those super speedy and quick slot receivers that have really good route running ability, but did align in the nickel a bunch at Texas A&M, also aligned in different safety spots for them, and also as an overhang defender. So a lot of versatility in what he did at Texas A&M. I think he can definitely cover tight ends and jumbo slots, again, with his athleticism and length and physicality that he brings to the field, his demeanor. Also a really good defender against the run, fires downhill and really brings the boom, lowers his shoulders, and he's caused 7 forced fumbles over the last 2 seasons as a pursuit player. So you love to see that, a guy who can force turnovers. Again, versatility, length, range in pursuit, all plus attributes for him. Will make plays in the backfield, around the line of scrimmage, intermediate areas of the field. This guy's a playmaker. Not someone who has shown a lot of consistent ball production, but a playmaker in pursuit and his ability to be rangy and his ability to force fumbles. I had a late 2nd round grade on Antonio Johnson. The Jaguars landed him at 160 overall in the 5th round. That is elite value at this pick for the Jaguars. I think you can see him come in and compete for reps at safety, compete for reps as a big nickel, an overhang defender as well. Long term, whether it's in Jacksonville or somewhere else, I think he's going to end up starting in this league for a while. The Jaguars at safety, they have Andre Sisco. He's not going anywhere. Rayshon Jenkins, up there in age, a little bit of an expensive player. Starter that maybe Antonio Johnson can take over that role long term. But I do think he's going to compete for reps, in 3 safety looks and big nickel looks in 2023 for the Jaguars, and he's been a special teamer his entire career. Of course, this is a guy that eventually, whether it's in 2023 or beyond, is going to help you take the ball away from your opponent and give it back to Trevor Lawrence, and that's always going to be something that you value and covet with a team that has a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence. He helps eliminate positive plays on checkdowns, screens, underneath routes. He can blow all that stuff up. I think that could help you against some of your opponents. Kansas City Chiefs, they like to get rid of that ball quickly, get it into the hands of playmakers. I think Antonio Johnson can help mitigate some of the excess yardage that some of those playmakers can pick up once they get the ball in their hands. I don't think he has the quickness to deal with elite route running slot receivers. So not a true nickel, as a lot of people have kind of tried to label him, but line him up as a big nickel, an overhang defender, someone who's covering tight ends, bigger receivers, in zone coverages. He can use his length and instincts really well. There's so many different things he can do for you. This was a great pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars at 160 overall. Next up, another fantastic pick for the Jaguars, Parker Washington, wide receiver out of Penn State, really a slot receiver out of Penn State. He's 5'10", 204 pounds. He is a thick slot receiver, a big slot receiver in terms of his mass, but again, only 5'10". Catches pretty much everything thrown his way. Some of the very best hands in this class. Really crisp route runner, explosive with body control, ball tracking, catch point skills, plays super physically, has yak ability, kind of turns into a running back once you get the ball in his hands. Really good quickness. Gotta love what you're seeing from Parker Washington here. Had an ankle injury during the pre-draft process that held him back from doing any of the testing. But I think you would have seen someone with explosive leaping ability, quick feet, very good on the bench, I would guess, and then someone who probably ran in the 4.5 40 range. Not an absolute burner. Can catch the ball away from his frame. Hauled in over 50% of his career contested targets. Something you love to see. Super low drop rate for Parker Washington. Has return value as well. For me at the NFL level, it's probably more so on punt return than kick return because he's quicker than fast. Again, quick receiver with a lot of strength, but he'll be a quarterback's best friend as a slot receiver. I love the depth he brings to the Jaguars receiving core. I love the special teams value he brings to the Jaguars. I think he can do so many things that Christian Kirk can do, and that's not to say that you can't have them on the field at the same time, because when the Jaguars get in these bunch formations, they can do all sorts of different things with their personnel at receiver and tight end and running back and all that. So I don't think that this is a redundant pick at all. I think it's someone who's going to help you out in 2023 and beyond. I had a third-round grade on him, so another one that provides extreme value for me. Love the pick. Parker Washington out of Penn State. And now you've got Brenton Strange and Parker Washington coming to Jacksonville. They're going to love it. Catching passes from Trevor Lawrence instead of Sean Clifford. I mean, goodness gracious. You come for the draft analysis here on Duval Daily. You stay for the Sean Clifford strays. Next up for the Jaguars is at 202 overall. They picked cornerback Christian Braswell out of Rutgers. Transferred over there from Temple, I believe. 5'11", 183 pounds. He's an explosive athlete at the cornerback position. 4.47 40-yard dash with a 40-inch vert. That shows you the speed, the explosiveness, 11-foot broad jump, absolutely wild. Yeah, transferred from Temple in 2021, but missed 2021 due to injury. Was lights out in 2022 at Rutgers with 3 interceptions, 8 pass breakups. Passer rating against him was just 50.7. I had not watched a ton of Braswell, so I don't have a strong opinion here. But on paper, and from what you hear, a really, really good athlete who had a stellar 2022 season, impressive overall athletic profile, 85th percentile at the cornerback position for his athleticism. I think he's probably a candidate to compete for the back end of the roster on special teams and perhaps at nickel, even though he primarily aligned on the outside at Rutgers, did Christian Braswell. I think it's time for another little sip here. About 20 minutes into this. We're getting there, though, Duval here. 208 overall. Safety Eric Hallett out of Pitt. Not really a safety, though. Had a hell of a 2022 season. He's really more of a nickel that was just listed at safety. I think he's going to be a nickel for the Jaguars. I know he has some versatility. Trent Baalke talked about his versatility to play safety or nickel. To me, I look at this player as a nickel. 3 interceptions in 2022, 7 pass breakups, allowed less than 50% of the targets in primary coverage to be completed in 2022. He's explosive. He's fast. He's quick. Has a 37.5-inch vertical, 4.5 40-yard dash, 4.11 short shuttle, 6.8 4.3 cone. He's got all the goods when it comes to the athletic scores. He's sticky in coverage from the slot, quick feet, fluid hips, good spatial awareness. I think he has a really good idea of how opponents are trying to attack him, and I think he has really good timing and just overall football IQ on the back end. This seems like a guy who will compete with Christian Braswell, compete with Trey Herndon, maybe Gregory Jr., 4 slot reps in 2023, and he's going to compete again on the back end as a special teamer as well. At 226 overall, offensive lineman Cooper Hodges played at Baker County and then App State. So you've got a local kid coming in here. Always fun to see the local guys get to come back to Duval. Really physical player, heavy-handed football player. We'll see how he competes. Lots of competition on the back end of the roster at offensive line. He played right tackle, started at right tackle for 50-plus games for Appalachian State. But he looked good working out at guard at the NFLPA Bowl. The Jaguars are listing him at guard, and so we'll see how he's able to come in here and compete. The Jaguars, they continue to look for interior offensive linemen that have played tackle. They love versatility, and they believe Cooper Hodges is going to bring that to them as well. All right, we are in the home stretch here. 2 picks left to go over. 227 overall, defensive tackle Raymond Vohasek. I don't know much about this guy, have not popped on the tape and watched him. He's 6'3", 310 pounds. The Jaguars have a ton of depth and competition for the back end of the roster along the defensive interior after bringing in this kid out of UNC, Raymond Vohasek. Tyler Lacey, obviously. They have a couple of unrestricted free agents they picked up in free agency. Adam Gotsis, Devon Hamilton, Roy Robertson Harris, Foley Fatukasi. They lead the way up front, but there's plenty of depth behind them as well. Trent Baalke, when he commented on Raymond Vohasek, he said has really good hands, can play nose tackle, defensive tackle, and says he's all about ball. So a guy that they liked from a, again, character perspective and somebody who they think can come in and compete to help out against the run. And then finally, at 240 overall, the Jaguars' final pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, they picked a really, really intriguing prospect out of Houston. Derek Parrish played mostly linebacker, some edge at the collegiate level, a little bit of fullback, running back. He's kind of a crazy, versatile athlete, 24 years old, so a little bit older, but a really interesting prospect. Again, played mostly linebacker and edge, but also had some running back and fullback reps. He's going to be fun to get to know more about, but a fast, explosive, fluid athlete who will compete for the Jaguars. Trent Baalke said coming in, starting at fullback in that running back room. Doug Peterson talked about how the fullback has kind of gone away. They're going to try to see if Derek Parrish can come in and give them some versatility, some athleticism, the ability to do some different things on offense. I think Brenton Strange, their day 2 pick in the second round, also gives them some more versatility to try some different things on the offensive side of the ball with how they can use a lead blocker and use blockers in space, different things of that nature. So yeah, that is the Jaguars draft haul for day 3. They picked up 10 players in day 3 of the 2023 NFL draft. Absolutely unbelievable. Baalke says the Jaguars have room for 10 undrafted free agents. They're working on, getting those contracts and bringing guys in right now. Also says they're not done putting this football team together. I would expect the Jaguars to dip their toes in that free agent market once again. Starting this Monday, free agent signings, they will not impact the compensatory pick formula. I'm guessing the Jaguars will go pursue a veteran edge, to be quite honest, and bring someone in to ensure that they will have the type of pass rush that they need. Do I think bringing in a Yasir Abdullah will help in that regard? Absolutely. Do I think there's some options for for guys to develop in 2023, for Trayvon Walker to play more consistently, for Josh Allen to not have the lulls he did during the 2022 season, for Kayvon Chason or Jordan Smith or Deshaun Dixon to take a step forward. I do, but I think for a Jaguars team that is trying to compete to not only win their division, but to win playoff games and get to the Super Bowl, bringing in another veteran edge, I think is going to be something they want to do. They've got the cap space to do it. Trent Baalke mentioned that they're in a better cap position than they normally are after the draft. So I think there's a good chance Jaguars do end up with at least a veteran edge rusher, if not some more vets on the defensive side of the ball. I will have a lot more coverage on this 2023 NFL draft class for your Jacksonville Jaguars. But for now, that's all, folks. Go get some rest. I know I'm going to. Cheers, Duval.